you are where you are in life because of who you are in life, right? And that speaks for me, that speaks for you, it speaks for every person on this earth. Who you are has led to the results that you have. And if you want more, you need to become more. You need to grow. You need to invest in yourself. And you're not going to do that by putting your money into assets that you don't have control of, that aren't going to continue the growth of you as the best asset that you have in your own life. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and this video, I'm going to shift it up a little bit. I talk a lot about different things with personal finances. I get really detailed into different products, analysis, business building, real estate investments, things of that nature. But for this video, I want to talk to you about 7 pieces of advice that I've gotten throughout my life that have made a huge just shift in the way that I see the world, right? Because I think it's really important. Like these are the things I've spent a lot of time contemplating. What are these pieces of advice? What are the things that, you know, I've gotten, or what are the facts that I've learned through mentorship and personal relationships with people that have made millions of dollars? What are these pieces that have ultimately shifted who I've become? And this is going to go all the way back to when I was in my young 20s, all the way through who I am right now at 42 years old. And ultimately, kind of this information is what I've kind of pieced together to become who I am today. And so I feel like it would be really beneficial for people to hear all these pieces of advice in one video. So here we go. All right, so the first piece of advice that I received that really connected with me was, Chris, if you want to be successful, you have to find the people who have the life that you want and emulate what they did to get there until you live the life that you want to live. Now, here's the deal. This is going to mean different things to every single person watching this video. I think is one of the reasons it should be a foundational component of how you make your decision-making process around how you want to go out and create the life that you love ultimately, right? Now, money is a big piece of it because it's a tool that's going to help us live our best life. However, it doesn't make any sense to just go out and seek money for money's sake, you know, in and of itself. I've met too many people that have a lot of money that live miserable, unfulfilled lives, right? And so what I think is important is if you follow this piece of advice, that means it forces you to be really, really intentional about having clarity about where you want to go, right? Like what are you wanting to create in your life? And you can look and find the people that have that success. Now you can join masterminds, go to events, and surround yourself with people who are where you want to go, right? And then you build relationship with them. You know, they always say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And this is a great way to figure out who do you need to surround yourself with, because if you do that, the community component of that is going to help you accelerate the growth. And not only that, it's going to help make sure that you stay on track and don't go down a path where you think you're doing the right thing, and before you know it, you become a slave to the money, which I've seen so many people do, and then they look back after it and they regret it. Now, you can have your cake and eat it too when it comes to this. You can earn a lot of money. You can live an unbelievable lifestyle. But I got news for you. It's one of the things that my wife and I did a long time ago. We made the conscious decision together to say, listen, any decision that we make is not going to be solely about money. It's going to be about lifestyle. It's going to be about freedom and how we're able to just live and travel and be with each other and be with family and always be able to prioritize that. That is what's really important to us. Now, the cool part here is that may be different for you. It may be something completely, you may have a different set of priorities for what you want in your life, and that is phenomenal. This rule is going to help you keep clarity, or have clarity, and keep on the right path. It's going to be your compass. It's going to help guide you in the right direction. So the second piece of advice that I got was, Chris, only invest in things that you understand. I think one of the biggest challenges with the financial space right now is, and one of the things, quite frankly, I fell into early, is just kind of throwing money at different investments and hoping it was going to work out. And, you know, some of those work out, some of them don't. More of them didn't work out than did, because I didn't understand what I was actually putting my money into. And so when you think about that from this perspective, when we only invest in things that we understand, it forces us to, once again, it goes in alignment with number one. We have to be really, really clear about what we're trying to achieve. And then we can kind of reverse engineer that plan. According to Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, we're starting with the end in mind and we're reverse engineering a plan to get there. And when we surround ourselves with the people that are going to help us get there and have that clarity, it's going to elevate us. And we're going to surround ourselves with the education, with the community, with the people that are going to help us understand, just different skill sets. Maybe you're really good at business. Maybe you're a real estate person. Maybe you are a stock person or whatever it is. I mean, Warren Buffett, look at him. He is a stock guy and that is cool, right? Like he crushes it in that space, whereas most people would get annihilated trying to do what he does. A lot of people do really well in real estate, different segments of real estate. A lot of people are entrepreneurs and are phenomenal at buying and fixing and flipping businesses. Whatever your unique ability is and whatever your greatest level of competency is, that's where you should be spending your time. Putting your money in a 401k or an IRA, it's not that I necessarily have a huge problem with them kind of on the surface level, aside from the tax issue that is just kind of misrepresented by a lot of people. My biggest challenge with that is that how much do you understand about where your money's going, what your fee structures are, how that really has an impact in your life, what that account needs to do for you to be able to live the life that you want to live in the time frame that you want to live it? Most people can't answer those questions, and those are the most important questions for you to be able to answer if you're going to have your money do what you need it to do to live that life that you want to live. So that's number 2. Number 3 is kind of an extension of number 2, and that's only invest in things that you have some control of the results in. This goes back to the fact that one of the biggest challenges that I have in conversations with people is they put their money into an account, they give it to a money manager, and they just kind of set it, forget it, or say, I have a guy or a gal for that. They're going to do, they're going to manage my money. They're going to do what they're going to do. And what happens is situations like 2008 or at the 2020 when the market crashed at the beginning of the pandemic, people get annihilated in their account values, and then they look at it and they get to just point the finger. They don't have any self-accountability, and I think having that self-accountability forces us to become more so we can accomplish more. And I'm a big believer that your financial strategy needs to be in alignment with your values, and when you look at it from that perspective, chances are you are where you are in life, and I've yet to meet somebody that this doesn't ring true for. You are where you are in life because of who you are in life, right? And that speaks for me, that speaks for you, it speaks for every person on this earth. Who you are has led to the results that you have. And if you want more, you need to become more. You need to grow. You need to invest in yourself. And you're not going to do that by putting your money into assets that you don't have control of, that aren't going to continue the growth of you as the best asset that you have in your own life. So the fourth one is something that I've already talked a little bit about, but I want to spend a little more time on it because I think it's really important. You are the average of the 5 people that you spend your most time with. It's one of the reasons I can say this when, for me, what made a dramatic uptick in my lifestyle, my quality of life, my earning potential, everything, had nothing to do with up here as far as my intellect and capability. It had everything to do with who I was surrounding myself with. There's a great book called Who Not How. And I had all the hows, I had all that kind of figured out. I mean, obviously constantly growing and stuff of that nature. And I continue to do that. And I think anybody that's not, is headed in the wrong direction. But what I will say is surrounding myself in masterminds and investing in those and being willing to pay to join communities and have access to people that I wouldn't have access to otherwise, then you add value to those organizations, you add value to those communities. That's going to help you develop relationships. You go in, I'm a big believer of the mindset of if you go into every relationship focused on adding more value to that relationship than you extract from it, you're never going to have a problem. And so if you join masterminds and you just show up with a mindset to serve and a heart to serve, the people who are where you want to go are going to recognize that. And believe me, people that have reached the pinnacle that you're looking to get to, if they look down and they see you trying to strive, they're going to see themselves 10, 20, 30 years ago. And they're going to want to put down a hand, and they're going to want to help you out and help you up and pull you up, right? And that is one of the most important things to realize in this journey of yours. A lot of people I talk to really hesitate putting money into masterminds, into coaching, into groups, or into traveling to events, and they don't understand the value. I go to a lot of events, and the value in those events is not going and sitting my butt in the chair and watching the presenters on stage, even though there is some value there. The real value happens after the event stops for the night, and going and networking and in the breakout groups and stuff of that nature, talking to people in between breaks and surrounding yourself with the people who go to those events. That is the biggest deal, because the most successful people in the world put a high level of value on those environments. So that's where they are. So you want to surround yourself in those environments. So that is an important thing. And that is number 4. So number 5 is sometimes you got to slow down to be able to go fast. And, this is really hard. I think for a lot of people who are in their 20s, who are just really hard driving, who are just trying to accomplish a lot. We want to go out, we want to hit grand slams right out of the gate, and we want to hit that fast track to success. One of the biggest things that's going to derail you is these get rich quick schemes, or thinking that you're going to be more successful than you are in a short time frame, because psychologically it can be deflating when you don't reach the success that you want, or maybe you're taking too much risk too quickly, right? And so with this in mind, this is why I came up with my phrase, you need to save with the intention of investing. Because what happens is people go out and they invest before they have savings. They invest before they have an emergency fund. They invest before they have an opportunity fund. They leverage too much and take on too much risk before they're actually ready to do so. The scary part is if you did that in a time frame where maybe the market was doing really well, it's kind of like going to the casino, and one of the worst things that you can do when you go to the casino is hit a slot machine for a big score right out of the gate. When you do this, what happens is subconsciously and psychologically, your brain is programmed to think, this is easy. Like it'll happen every time. But the casino knows you're going to get that money. They're going to get that money back from you one pull at a time, right? And so like little by little by little, if you stay long enough, they're going to get their money back. And so the same thing rings true in the markets, is that if you take on too much risk too early, what happens is you don't have your life structured to be a properly, to have the proper investor behavior to be able to win over the long term. Anybody can win in a short period of time. Any product has a chance of winning and getting big returns in a short period. But if you don't either cash out when you can, which by the way, if you have your money in qualified accounts, is really challenging to manage it effectively like that. But if you don't have that figured out, you're putting yourself at too much risk. So I say slow down to move fast, save with the intention of investing, have your emergency fund, have your opportunity fund. That will position you to win in the long run. And sometimes it can be frustrating. You have that FOMO, that fear of missing out, that if you don't go out and take risk early, you're gonna fall behind people. But the reality is this is like the tortoise and the hare. The hare, you're gonna watch them as the tortoise and you're gonna watch them jump right out ahead of you. But I promise you, if you stay a track and you focus not on what assets and getting big returns, but actually building fundamental, good, sound financial structure in your life, that is what's gonna help you win and reach predictable success over the long term. So the 6th piece of advice that I got that made a dramatic impact on me, and this is actually probably one of the most impactful things because it actually shifted my professional life. And that was, you need to take over the banking in your life. Be your own bank. And I know that sounds weird. It's how do you become your own bank? And I've done a lot of videos on this. There's terms like infinite banking, banking on yourself, becoming your own banker, cash flow banking, abundance banking. Like I have a book that I wrote on this topic. My buddy Caleb calls it the and asset. But at the end of the day, it's all about financial efficiency. Banking is the most profitable business in the world. And if you understand how banks implement principles and systems to create profit and how they create leverage utilizing other people's money and creating spreads in things in the way that the way that money kind of flows through a banking institution's world, you realize you can actually implement those same principles in your personal life and in your business life, right? And so the cool part with this is that when you notice this, you realize it's not about going and chasing big returns. It's about volume. It's about how much money can I get to go through a system? Because I can take 10% of my income and try to get 8 to 10% returns on it, or I can take 50 or 60% of my income, make that 50 or 60% more efficient by 2 to 3%, and that's going to get a better result than that 10% trying to get 8 to 10%, right? Because it's about the volume, and when I do that, it's going to be guaranteed, and it's going to happen on a predictable basis. I'm not saying you don't have to take a risk to get to where you want to go, but I think this goes back to when you do take that risk, invest in things that you understand, invest in yourself, invest in, where your skills and your unique abilities are, and that is an important thing to understand. And so when you become your own bank and you take over that banking component of your life, that is when you realize how to do that, that is going to be, I think, when a light bulb comes on for you. And for me, it completely changed my world and made me go down this path, and I fell in love with the concept so much, and that's why I do what I do today. And finally, number 7 is when you do invest, make sure that that investment is going to create more cash flow in your life. So invest for cash flow, not accumulation. That is number 7. Invest for cash flow, not accumulation. And when you look at it from that perspective, cash flow is king. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It matters how much cash flow you have. It doesn't matter how much money nominally you have. It matters what's the quality of life. What does that pile of money provide you with? And the bottom line is, when we're saving, trying to get millions and millions of dollars in an account for some unknown date out in the future, we don't know what the impacts of the market, the political risks, the taxation risks, the inflation risks, everything that goes along with it. There are variables that we have no control of, that we can't measure, that we can't predict. And if you can't predict these most important things, then that just tells you it's going to be almost impossible to succeed. And this is why this accumulation mindset of saving money in a retirement plan to get $1 million in your retirement plan, or 2 million or 3 million, it doesn't really matter. What matters is, what is that going to provide you with from a lifestyle for the rest of your life? I got news for you. When you invest for cash flow, all those challenges are taken care of on their own, right? And typically, you're gonna get a lot of other tax benefits that go along with it. You're gonna make your life more financially efficient. You're gonna invest in things that you understand. When you invest for cash flow, it's gonna force you to be much more involved and become more, so you can accomplish more. And at the end of the day, it's going to help you get where you want to go faster. And when you do that, instead of waiting 40 years to be hitting retirement, you can hit financial freedom or financial independence, or whatever you want to call it, in 10 to 15 years. And when you do that, imagine if you could be free by the time you're 35, 40, or 45, or 50, or whenever you're starting 10 to 15 years from now. Imagine that that is the case. If you could do that, what would your life look like? What would you do in the world? How would you show up differently in the world? And what could you do to make a dramatic impact in certain people in the world around you that you wanted to make an impact in? That's my encouragement to you. And so when you understand, these are the 7 things to me that I was told, 7 pieces of financial advice that and knowledge and information that I got, that I received, that made a huge impact on my decision-making process and on how I've lived my life, the career path I've done, how I make my decisions, all these different things around money, and with my family, and just how I show up in life in general, and ultimately how money plays a role into all those things. And that's it. So if you have any questions, any comments, leave them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to engage with every single one. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, that way you get notified every time I launch a new video. And until next time, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.